Well, he'd been a Taliban fighter in the late 1990s, taken prisoner by the Americans in 2001, sent to Guantanamo Bay, released a few years later, as many of the people taken on the battlefield were. And then in recent years, he's fallen out with the Taliban. He went back to northern Helmand, where he'd fought before. But in the last couple of years, he's fallen out with the Taliban. And earlier this year, he raised the black flag of so-called Islamic State. And there were reports that he'd been in clashes with his former Taliban comrades, but that he was recruiting people across northern Helmand. Now, there have been increasing reports of Islamic State in Afghanistan. Nobody knows how strong it is, whether he was just an opportunist or not. But a couple of weeks ago, Islamic State in Syria and Iraq named him as their deputy commander in the region. And Afghan and international forces have responded accordingly, targeting and killing him in an airstrike on his vehicle. We understand local elders say the vehicle was crossing the desert last night when an airstrike took it out, killing all the men inside. And it was full of ammunition as well. They said there was quite a big explosion.
David, has there been then any confirmation from NATO about this?
Well, NATO are saying that there was an airstrike. It was called in coordination with Afghan forces. They say up to 8 people were killed. They won't confirm that Mullah Rauf was among them. What's significant about that is that international forces, of course, are not engaged in combat in Afghanistan anymore. They're only in a supporting role. And it was only very much at the last minute last year that President Obama said, no, that aeroplanes would still be involved, that drones would still fly over Afghanistan and could be called in by Afghan forces in support. This is the first confirmation, though, that we've had since the beginning of this year that there has been an airstrike as called in by Afghan forces here. Up to now, generals that I've spoken to say it's been quite hard to call them in. They're only in extreme circumstances, but killing someone who's flying a black flag is clearly one of those circumstances.